Hello and good morning. I'm sat in my incredibly messy office, and I just thought I would do a diamond art in real time so you can see the difference in time it takes really to do something like this little Hello Kitty here, compared to obviously the cross stitches that I've been doing. I don't know, some of you may have seen me do the witter little video at the end of the creating her, that cross stitch, where it took me half an hour to do just a tiny little bit, but these are much simpler. So I buy them in packs. They're sticky on the side like that. This, this is the working side, and actually I think these ones, no, not so much these ones, but there's another type I use where you can do both sides, put beads on both sides, and it doesn't matter if they spin around, they're sparkly on both sides. But if you need some sort of instant gratification, or if you're feeling a bit stressy, this is a great craft, if you like, to just chill out, just give your mind a chance to focus on exactly what you're doing. It's very mindful, unless you're chatting on a video, of course, then it's not quite so mindful. But it is, if you just concentrate exactly on where you're putting each dot, covering the spot exactly. Oop, that's probably not very mindful either when you just knock all your beads over, because they go everywhere. You find them all over the place. There we go. Yes, the one thing about doing this is tiny pieces get scattered everywhere. So pick them all up again. That's a blue, we don't want that one at the minute. That's a red. Oops, dropped it again. That one doesn't want to go in there. Right, I'll find those all over the floor later, you can guarantee that. Or one of the dogs will. Yeah. So you may hear some grumbling and some growling because Miss Weiss is here. Oops, let's just check you can see her. There she is down there. Ignore the mess. She's having a bit of a growly morning. And then under my feet down here, I can't actually move the chair because he's so close to my feet. Where are you? It's Mr. Ula. So he's still finding his feet, so he likes to get under things. He's found my feet, and he likes to sit as close to them as possible. So that's fun. When you try and stand up and he's right there. Oh, what happened there? Why aren't you sticking? I wonder if I haven't quite got the cover off that bit. Yeah, there we go. There, that's better. Anyway, I'll shut up and get on with the diamond arts. Now, this is probably the easiest of crafts I have ever done. You don't need any prior experience. They come in kits normally, with everything you need. So there's a lot of waste, and of course it's all plastic. So I try and reuse. So most of these diamond dots aren't from this pack. I'm using up old ones. But you get one of these, a little tray like this. You get a little wax square with every one, so that you can just wax up your diamond, your dibber. I call them a dibber, but whatever you call it. And then just pick up a dot, put it on, move on to the next one. So no skill at all required to do these simple ones. Maybe a bit of patience. And as I say, it's very good for mindfulness. Just focusing exactly on the moment, exactly on what you're doing. I find it really chills me out, this, when I've had a busy day, or I've done a cross stitch that hasn't quite gone to plan, like Weichni. I find this is like me sorbet to cleanse me palate. just really clears my head, and then I can go on to something a little bit more taxing. Which is not to dismiss this as a craft, because it is so relaxing. We all need that simple, fast hit sometimes, don't we? In fact, the hardest thing about this is putting the dots back in the packets. So let's see if we can throw these all over the place again. This wife is having a right old grumble down there. Something in the garden frightened her, so she's barking and growling all morning. Bless her. I think what frightened her is she's got a temporary sibling. Though she quite likes to play with Mr. Ula, she does find him, well, he's very much, well, he's much bigger than her and very rambunctious, because he's a 6-month-old puppy. So she's, you know, used to being the ruler of the roost, and all of a sudden she isn't. But it's only for a little while. Then he will go down to Grandma and Granddad and help Grandma, or more so on Grandma's knee, and cuddle, because he does love a cuddle. And he's not going to be a small dog, much as the breeders told me he was going to be a small dog. They did tell me a little porky pie there. But we will forgive them. Because he is so gorgeous and so snuggly buggly. So Hello Kitty here for my next, probably, I think Unleashed is our next one. I have a feeling it's in Hull in April, but I might be wrong, because we've done quite a lot of events. But people seem to like these sparkly key rings. Right, so let's get this done. The good thing about this is, if you're like slightly dodgy, it's not a problem. You're not looking for fine holes in fabric. You're just plonking down beads, and it's very forgiving. If you put one in the wrong place, you can just push it into place. If you're doing a bigger diamond art project, I wouldn't recommend taking all the plastic off the you know, the covering, to stop, because otherwise your hands are sticking all the time, and it is a little bit annoying. But also I think it might take some of the stickiness off as well, which means that your beads won't stick and they end up all over the place. And then you have to re-stick them on again, get some not super glue, Pritt stick, or whatever brand of glue you like to use, PVA, anything like that. Luke and I were doing he's got a little N-gauge railway, which is one of the smaller ones that you can get. There is a tiny one, but this is it's still a nice little size. We were covering his railway with that, and we were going to call it we still are going to call it that when we find time to do it, the Crystal Veil. And it's going to feature in one of his Elderberry and Fay Valley stories, which are the books he writes for younger children. And they are all about Luke's Hornby Railways engines in a fantasy, you know, fairy realm, really. It's got goblins and fairies and, you know, all sorts of beautiful fantasy characters. But they're very moral books. So the first one is all about how different isn't wrong. Different isn't wrong is our family motto. We're all different in our own unique ways. Luke has autism. I have a fair few illnesses. You know, so we're all different. You can be different without having conditions as well. So just acknowledging that different isn't wrong is a thing that kids need to learn, I think, because it's a society where they follow these influencers and YouTubers, and think they have to be this perfect little mirror image of that person they see on their screens, when actually to be different is wonderful. So, oh, that took a bit of a tangent, didn't it? Anyway, so the book is about how being different is fine. It's okay. And actually, I like being different. And then the second one that is published at the moment is about, it's about the tooth fairy and the teeth. What happens to the teeth once the fairies get hold of them? So it teaches kids about cleaning their teeth. And there is a third book. We've had terrible trouble with illustrators. So we're now just trying to sort out an illustrator for the third book, which will be our third illustrator. Slightly frustrating, but just the way it goes. Real life gets in the way sometimes, and in one case, profit got in the way of doing a job. That was our first illustrator, but that's okay. We accept that people have expenses. So, this is coming along nicely, but you can see how quickly this comes together. Most people don't do little diamond art projects like this. But if you've got a child who wants to get into crafting, obviously old enough not to put things in their gobs, then this is probably one of the first ones I would suggest they get involved with, because it develops concentration and patience, and just accepting that you're going to get it wrong sometimes. So certainly diamond art is great for that, but I do worry about the use of so many plastics in it, and it'd be nice if there was a more eco way of doing this. Might be something I will investigate, because if everybody does a little bit, then we can make a difference, can't we? Mr. Oola's on the move, so he might pop into the video in a minute. He does like a cuddle, so he jumps into the video when I'm trying to work, whereas Miss Weiss will lie in her basket until she tells me I've done enough. Part of her job as an assistant's dog, although she's Luke's assistant's dog and not mine. She is very good at saying, actually, get up now, Mum, you've done enough. Which is fairly important for me. I do tend to fixate on things and just sit and not move, and of course that's not good for any of us. Ooh, that one doesn't want to go the right way up. Okay, so let's get some more. Miss Weiss will be leaving me soon as well, because her dad is making toast. Miss Weiss does love a little corner of toast. I'm not sure that Mr. Oola has discovered toast yet. But when he goes down to his grandparents, his granddad started Weiss's love of toast, so I'm sure he'll pass it on to Mr. Oola. If you're wondering where the name Oola comes from, because it's a little bit unusual, Mr. Oola has a gimpy foot. So he hops around on 3 legs. And in War of the Worlds, the Martian tripods, when they're making noise, they go, Oola, diddloo, diddloo. And so that's where the name Oola came from, because he's a tripod. Makes us laugh, and as he's not my dog, and Grandad's the one that's going to have to be shouting it in the park, not a problem. And he's going to go, Ooh-la, because he's even more weird than I am. Hey, this doing the video, well, not live, but you know, not time lapse, is great. It's I can witter on about anything, and you know, if you don't want to listen, you can just turn your volume off, which is great. Love it. So once I've done these, and Mr. Luke has had his breakfast, and I have had my rather yummy coffee. I spilt that all down because I was trying to talk and drink at the same time. I am going to take my dogs out for a nice little bimble and do a little bit of food shopping. And then we're going to come back and do a little bit of training with Ula, because he has no manners, no, he doesn't do any, you know, commands yet, so that's all got to come. So we're doing some basics, although he did a beautiful sit this morning for me. So that command is coming. He certainly knows no. He's learning that one very quickly. So we will get him up to speed so that when he goes down to my parents' house, he's got a little bit of understanding of the rules. Though I know Grandad will do some work with him as well. Ula's not going to be an assistance dog. He's just going to be a pet, family pet, who will also look after my mum, you know, if my dad has to go out or whatever. So he'd probably be more in the way of an emotional support dog, which just means he can, you know, look after me mum a bit. But really the only places she goes now is Sainsbury's and Costa. And Costa lets dogs in now. Yay for Costa. So the other thing we've got to teach him is to be comfortable being on his own in a crate, so that they can leave him to go shopping or whatever it is they need to do. But he won't be left for more than, you know, a few minutes. Well, you know, an hour maybe at the most. So he's going to live a little blessed life. He's a fortunate pup. Right. And just for speed, I'll just push those to the back there and do these two black ones for her eyes. One. And there's another. There we go. And then I just... so that's her spotted up. Now, as you can see, well, that's taken less than 20 minutes. So, you know, I can't reiterate how time sensitive this is, as in it doesn't take much time to do something small. I know there's been a lot of studies with kids and their concentration spans now, because everything is instant gratification for them. So this kind of small project is great to start them just sitting and focusing on something for a short amount of time that doesn't involve a screen. And we all know that screens are going to be a big part of kids' lives. They're going to be working on screens. They're going to be, you know, the whole world is going to be on a screen before much longer. That's progress. But to have the, you know, patience to just sit and do something like this for half an hour a day, maybe, then, you know, it will build up. So just a great little project for children who want to get into something that doesn't involve a screen, and just gives them a little bit of mindful time to focus on nothing but what they're doing. So I hope you enjoyed this in video format. I'll upload this now, and you have a lovely day. Take care of yourselves, and I hope the sun's shining where you are.